My brother just bought this CAT S Seat Ibiza thinking it was a great deal.
Now, he wanted something that looked nice and didn't break the bank, but when you jump on Auto Trader, you'll see these Ibizas in good condition aren't cheap. So the only way to get one at a bargain price was to take a risk on a CAT S. But it didn't take long to realize that this thing's got problems. Both headlamps not working properly, coolant's leaking, the steering wheel buttons are dead, and electrical faults everywhere.
Oh my god, literally everything's just turned off.
Basically, someone's repaired this car, but not properly. So I started pulling things apart to see just how bad it really is.
I'm getting drenched, dude. This looks pretty bad.
And I found some seriously sketchy wiring that explains a lot.
There seems to be this rubbery stuff that's been applied. There is green electrical tape holding pieces of cable together.
And just to make it more fun,
we've only got today to try and fix it. Okay, so we've got the car on the jacks. Now, we'll do a quick little walk around just to show you the condition of the car. Obviously, it's seen better days. It is a CAT S at the end of the day. And this is my brother's first car, so he's gonna probably bash it about here and there. So the fact that it has some cosmetic issues isn't that big of a deal. But there are some telltale signs that this car has been repaired cowboy style. So if you pan over to the reg plate, someone's clearly used some wood screws to screw this down. So they just hacked straight into the bumper. And it's the same case for this kind of fake carbon splitter. There's wood screws all along the bottom here, so it's not really been repaired very well. I mean, there's some cracks in the bumper due to age. Fog lamps are misted over. The headlamps have some fading over them, which would need to get polished. And to be honest, under here, like I said, it is not looking very good. Wow, come have a look at this. Someone's just literally taken some cables and probably twisted them together and then wrapped it with some electrical tape. I can see some tinfoil style tape to cover up a leaky pipe of some sorts. And I know there's another issue that my brother was talking about, and that's the fact that the fan doesn't work. So we're gonna have to investigate that. Thankfully, we've ordered a new fan so we can replace in case this one is broken. Because of the wiring that I can see there, I've got a sneaky suspicion that actually what's wrong with it is the wiring, not the actual fan itself being broken. So the main electrical issue with this car is these headlamps. They just do not work. Well, I say they don't work. The main beam does work, but the indicators, daytime running lights, high beams, they all do not work. And I know that they don't work because you can see that indicator's running, but nothing is happening here on the headlamps. Now, I've checked whether the bulbs are gone before we started filming, and this issue is happening on both sides, and both sides, bulbs are absolutely fine. So I know it's got to be a wiring issue of some sorts. I have my suspicions on what it could be, but we're going to take these headlamps off and just do some more digging.
Removing the headlamp was fairly straightforward. There was just a few bolts on the top of the headlamps, some clips along the front of the bumper, and then one hidden bolt behind the wheel arch. But actually getting the headlamps out was another story. They sit in there very tight, so it took a little bit of patience and force to squeeze them out, but eventually I managed. So my initial suspicions to why these headlamps weren't working on the car was just simply the fact that they're the wrong headlamps for the car. When I looked online for Seat Ibizas with similar spec, I noticed that the headlamps look the same, but the internals look completely different. So the first thing I did was take out my multimeter and buzz out all of the pins on the headlamp to see whether they match against the wiring diagram that I have for this car. And to my surprise, a lot of the pins did not match. The wiring diagram showed that all the lights should be connected to the same ground located on pin 5. However, I discovered that on the headlamp, the main beam was the only one that was connected to ground on pin 5, and the ground for the rest of the lights were connected to pin 7. This means that the rest of the lights had an open circuit preventing them from switching on, and will also explain why the main beam was the only light that was working, as it was the only one with a complete circuit. So my plan is simple. I'm going to connect the grounds of the other lights to pin 5 so they're no longer open circuit, and hopefully getting them to work.
Now ideally the best thing to do here is just get the proper headlamps so we don't do any bodgery, but because we don't have the headlamps and my brother needs this car on the road, we're gonna have to bodge it. So I'm gonna use this masking tape to mark out the two cables which I need to solder together, get that done, plug it in and see whether it works. Hopefully it does.
So my plans had to change slightly as I didn't actually have a soldering iron to do the job. Instead, I had to resort to using some crimps that I got from Parkside. Now, because of this, it was difficult to squeeze the crimp tool between the wires to get a decent bite for the crimp to hold. So this part actually took us a very long time to finish, which ate up a lot into our day. And at this point, I was really hoping that it would work.
Right, so we've plugged temporarily the headlamps into the car to check whether our wiring is correct. So Vix, jump in the car. Maybe let's start with the indicator, Vix. Oh, fantastic, Vix. It's working, yeah, brilliant. Fantastic, so indicator's working. Let's try the main beam. I mean, if indicator's working, that means main beam is probably gonna be working as well. Yeah, main beam's working. No, sorry, that is the full beam. Full beam, what about the main beam? Do the main beam? Is that you on? Yeah. Ah, main beam is on this one that we haven't touched, but this one, it's not on. Maybe it's the bulb as well that's gone, because the daytime running bulb is gone. So I've got a feeling that's probably what it is.
After the long battle with the first headlamp, it was time to move on to the other one. This one was a little bit easier, but still a ball ache to do. Looking back at it, it probably would have been a lot easier to solder the wires together instead of using the big crimping tool, but you know, hindsight is a beautiful thing. I'll definitely make sure to invest in a soldering iron so that it's a lot easier next time. Unless there is a better crimping tool that I could have used. Let me know in the comment section below if there is.
Okay, so that's the second one done. That was very painful, but we managed to get there in the end. I've checked the bulbs on this one and it seems like all of the bulbs are fine. So in theory, they should all work. So let's give it a test try. I've plugged it in. Go on, Vix. So main beam working, fantastic. Okay, high beam working, fantastic. Indicator, there we go, yep. Working absolutely fine. It is currently 4:05 and we've only just managed to finish the second headlamp. Halfords shuts at 6 o'clock, so we need to pop this headlamp straight in and quickly head over to Halfords in my car in order to get the bulbs for that headlamp, come back, fit those, test it, and then tackle the rest of the electrical issues before the day ends. Now we've got sunlight till 8 o'clock, so we better get cracking. So let's put this back in and then get a little cheeky coffee.
To be honest with you, at this point the time was just flying by, but nonetheless, after a quick pit stop at Halfords, we managed to buy the bulbs and get both headlamps working. Now it was time to tackle all of the other issues before we run out of daylight.
Right, so now that the lights are done, it's time to tackle the hole in one of the pipes. Well, it looks like there's a hole in there. Someone's put some sort of tape around one of the coolant hoses, so I'm guessing that these need to be replaced. So we've ordered them. So we're going to go under the car, pull the under tray off and drain the coolant, and then hopefully we can take these off and replace them. So doing a quick inspection under the car, we've got some normal fixings, but I can see the cowboying has continued down here because you've got a couple wood screws holding this under tray together. If that's a foreshadowing of what's to come, I don't think we're going to be in luck here, Vix. But yeah, okay, we're going to take this off and then see what we're dealing with. Wow, I can't actually believe what is going on here. I mean, there is green electrical tape holding pieces of cable together that is just twisted together. And this monstrosity over here, I don't even know what is going on, but I understand why some of these things aren't working properly. But this looks pretty bad, and I'm glad we've got a new pipe for this. So let's have a little look what's under here and what we're dealing with. Ooh, someone's actually insulated it pretty well, unless there isn't a leak here, but then again, why would it be insulated, you know what I mean? We're getting something. Oh no, Vix, this isn't good, this isn't good. Oh, fuck! Vix, this isn't good, this isn't good. That is literally pissing everywhere, Vix, quick. Get a bucket, quick. Right, well that didn't go as planned. It is literally going everywhere. Oh, I'm getting drenched, dude. Oh my god. To be honest, there wasn't that much coolant in it. Oh yeah, we need to undo the top now. I forgot.
Yeah, so we'll go in.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Disgusting.
I can say this with confidence, I did not like doing this job, and that's mainly because of how difficult those hose clamps were to remove. Now, I didn't make my life easier as I wasn't using the correct tool to remove them, and out of frustration and difficulty, this would lead me into making a mistake which was going to cost us time and money.
This is snapped off.
What I am holding there was the return feed from the expansion tank to the radiator, and it had completely snapped off. This led to a lot of extra work which we will get onto later on in the video. For now, I set that aside and continued replacing the two main hoses and ensured to fit the clamps on correctly to prevent any future leaks. And while I was at it, I cracked on with replacing any dodgy connectors with new ones, insulating them with some wiring harness tape.
Right, that is the old pipe out. Ooh. Oh damn, look at that. I didn't even notice that before. I wonder what caused that. You can see little air bubbles. That was probably a cause of a small leak in there as well, not allowing pressure to build up in the cooling system, because we did notice that there was some bubbles in the expansion tank, and that obviously shows that there's some sort of leak and air's getting in. Oh my goodness, look at that. Yeah, no wonder this thing was leaking like crazy. That is a no-go. Right, so that was the last pipe to put in, last clip. Both of the pipes are in now, both replaced. We can now put new coolant into the system, and hopefully there will be no more leaks and the coolant will be sweet. What a messy job. So I was under here trying to understand why this fan wasn't working. And this is something very interesting, and this is more proof for how cowboy the repair was. This connector, which is for the fan, to power the fan, I don't know whether you guys can spot this, right? Well, first and foremost, it's damaged. But second of all, this connector is actually plugged in the wrong way round. You can see this pin is actually meant to align with this cutout section here. So I wouldn't suspect that that is the reason why the fan isn't working. We do have another connector, so what we might do is actually pull this up and re-terminate this into a new connector so that this actually clips in better, just to make our lives easier and make sure that this actually doesn't come undone, because even when you plug it in the right way, because of the damage, it doesn't actually stay in, because it's supposed to click in and stay in, but it's not doing that. So we're just unraveling some of this cable work that they've done, and just come and have a look at this. All they've done is literally twisted the pairs and then wrapped it in electrical tape. So I mean, that is not a good connection if you ask me. But yeah, like I said, we're going to try and unravel this and swap this connector for a new one, which we've got right here. I am starting to lose hope with this car, having to do this in one day. Just to give you a perspective, at the minute it is 7:10, and we need to finish it today, so we'll see. Right, so we were battling with these connectors, finally finished re-terminating them. So what I'm doing now is going over all of these cables with some automotive tape, insulate them a little bit better from the outside environment, hopefully make them last longer than the previous ones. Cables have been routed through. That should just click nicely in place. Well, no satisfying click, but it does the job. And then the thermostat connector just goes up here, and that's in. Hopefully the fan is now connected properly and working. For reference, it is currently just coming up to 20 to 8. Great, you know, I thought we'd be done by 6. Right, we need to take this steering wheel off. I've never taken a steering wheel off before, but batteries out, airbags off. There's these two funny clips that we need to reach in the back of the steering wheel, which are going to be a little bit difficult to reach. So I'm first going to attempt it with this screwdriver, and then if that doesn't work, we've got like a little multi-tool. I'm going to try and reach it with a hook. We'll see. Hopefully it comes out easy, and then we can progress with changing. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. I think it's a spring clip or spring coil. I don't know. Either or. But that is in control of all of the functions on the steering wheel, which are currently not working. And judging by the fact that this is CAT S, most likely airbag went off, and then whoever refit it didn't do a good job, because if it was the same people that fit and done all the repairs to the front with the wiring, yeah, I'm not surprised this isn't working. But yeah, let's crack on with that.
Trying to press on those two clips was very difficult. I had to try and use my phone to see what I was doing, as I didn't have a small mirror to look behind the steering wheel. Eventually, I managed to press on both of them and get the airbag out. Then I had to undo the center bolt, remove some of the plastic trim, and I was finally able to get to the steering wheel clock spring.
Beautiful. So inspecting it, I thought it was quite loose. Yeah, look at that. That doesn't sit right with me. it is wobbling way too much. Whereas this one, brand new, look, no movement whatsoever. Oh, actually, to be fair, I've got to take that off. But still, nothing in comparison. So I've got a strong feeling that actually this is broken. Yeah, I mean, that's night and day difference, isn't it? Let's pop this one on, plug it in, and hopefully we'll have some button controls on the steering wheel.
So I did the exact same but in reverse, put the trims on, put the steering wheel back on, center bolt tightened, airbag in, and it was time for some testing.
Right, steering wheel's back in. Update on time, 9:05. Okay, here we go. Hopefully, if I just turn the ignition, these will light up.
Well, no, because you need sun lights on.
No.
Now at this point, I was ready to give up. After such a long day with so many things that went wrong, this was the very last thing that I needed. I was convinced that it was the clock spring that was broken and needed changing, but I guess I was completely wrong. Anyway, as you can tell by my face, I was done for the day, but there was still one final job to do.
This is just a humbling experience to tell you, you don't know enough.
You failed.
You failed. Right, okay. Let's do the last thing on the agenda, which is servicing the actual car, and then we can put the coolant back in as well. And then, yeah, we can call it a day.
So I carried out a quick service. I drained out the old oil, removed and replaced both the oil filter and air filter, topped it up with some new oil and coolant, and I just stood back, hoping that that was the end of it all. But then things took a turn for the worse. What you can hear there is the coolant dropping onto the floor. This is obviously coming from the small pipe that I broke at the top of the radiator. And at this point, I felt truly defeated and I had no idea what extra work I just got myself into.
By the looks of it, we're going to need to get a new radiator, which is a shame because that means we can't finish this job today. We're going to have to clean up now and do a bit of digging and see whether we can source a radiator to pick up tomorrow and try to get this done tomorrow at some point. But I am knackered. It is 9:45 and we've got all this packing up to do. So yeah, I'll catch you whenever I catch you. So it's Monday afternoon. We've just picked up the radiator. Obviously things haven't gone as planned. I want to show you what exactly broke. So this pipe was connected to the top of the radiator somewhere. And as you can see, this is the little plastic that's supposed to be connected to the radiator and it no longer is. So when I was replacing one of the hoses that were broken, as I was trying to take the clip off, that little pipe just snapped off. But that's absolutely fine. Let's take this bumper off, replace the radiator and hopefully get it done today. Now that I've unboxed the radiator, I can show you exactly which part had snapped off for us. So it's this little pipe here. So as I was fitting the hose for this section here, this, yeah, just absolutely snapped off. But that's okay. We've got this new radiator, let's fit it.
At this point, I think I took those headlamps out at least 10 times, but I had to do it again in order to get that bumper off. And as I work my way through taking apart the front end, to no one's surprise, I encounter bodgery once again.
So the bodgery continues. There's a couple more wood screws that I found that are connecting the lower part of the bumper to this section of the car. So I'm just taking these off. I don't want to put them back on, but I've got a feeling I might need to put them back on. Otherwise, this part is just going to be flapping about. But then, yeah, we've got two fixings left, and then bumper's off. But yeah, whoever's fixed it, bit of a bod job, if you ask me. Right, that's my first ever bumper off. I've just noticed something. This crash bar has been replaced. Do you know how I know? Because it's got another car's reg plate on it. That's great.
At this point, I was determined to take that front end off. I took the front crush bar off, drained the coolant for the third time, pulled out all the hoses from the radiator, and nearly knocked myself out in the process. And all was running smoothly until I ran into something unexpected.
Right, so bumper's kind of off. The only thing that's left are these two lines which are going to this front radiator. Now, I don't know why this didn't come to me. And I wasn't too sure what those were for, and I was very close to taking it off, and then I was like, wait a minute, let's just do a bit of digging. So it turns out that is a radiator for the air conditioning, and how I got to that was I saw a part which is driven by a belt inside the engine bay, and I just looked up the part number, and it turns out that that is the AC compressor. And again, that line that's going to that front radiator is directly connected to that compressor. So we got to try and take the radiator, which we're trying to replace, which is located behind the AC radiator, without disconnecting the AC radiator. So yeah, job got a bit more interesting, but we'll get there.
Now for the next bit, I had to get the missus involved as I needed a spare set of hands to hold both radiators up while I tried to remove the one that I was replacing.
We have the radiator. It's finally out.
Once it was out, I had to remove the plastic trim around it to take the fan off. And then I had to do everything in reverse. I put the fan and the plastic trim onto the new radiator. I then fitted the new radiator behind the radiator for the air conditioning and the plastic frame that holds the whole radiator assembly together. Then I put the crash bar back on, fitted the headlamps and topped the car up with some coolant once again.
Right, another day done. And the CAT Ibiza is still not completed, I know. It's a bit of a shambles. We're on the final stretch now. All I got to do is put the bumper on and then basically start her up. But I didn't want to leave till the end of the day to find out if there's going to be any more new problems. Right, final day. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we've done everything right.
The final piece of the puzzle, putting the bumper on. A job that was supposed to take a day, but took a total of 5. This job has definitely taught me to never underestimate how long a job will take, especially if it involves fixing a car. As you saw in this case, I snapped a small piece of the plastic on the radiator and created myself a load of work having to replace it. Nonetheless, it was time to push the car out of the garage and top it up with coolant for the very last time.
What a job. Engine's running smoothly. Coolant doesn't seem to be going down. It seems to be staying the same level. So that's good news. And I can't see any visible leaks coming out anywhere. So all good so far. We'll just keep on running it and keep an eye on it just to make sure that everything's smooth and sweet. And then we'll take it for a test drive. Okay, finally finished. Let's turn her on and take it for a test drive.
But as we headed out for the test drive, we encountered another issue.
Off.
Coolant check.
Yeah.
Make it tell me like abnormal coolant. Do I need to check out?
No, it's just check. Oh yeah, it's dropped. It has dropped. It's below minimum. Yeah, we just got a warning for check the coolant level, and the coolant level's quite low. So we're gonna quickly head back and top it up. But yeah, you know, like it's starting to circulate around the system a little bit more as you go for a little bit of a drive. And so that means, you know, you're gonna see it drop a little bit as the air pockets get filled up with coolant. So it's normal. We're just gonna quickly drive it back around the corner. We haven't gone far. So that's the test drive done. I'm happy with the car, Victor's happy with the car. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop it a like. If you have any questions or suggestions, drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next episode.